Thank you very much for joining me for this session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind. Some kitchen time, a few clusters of kitchen time. Of all the household projects that I've done, of all the upgrades that I've done, two have been enduring. One is the deck, and the second is the basically facelift and slight increase in function devoted to my kitchen using a fairly significant annual bonus from work to do it. I guess I should also count removing asbestos and replacing it with modern vinyl siding. That was a big project too. But of the one that I gravitate to, it's definitely the kitchen. It's a season of kitchen. The spring, we had Passover, where I made a pretty elegant Seder, one that coincided with my birthday, so I didn't have to make two meals. Then we have Mother's Day, and not too far into the future, Shavuot. The synagogue had me helping out with some of the Shavuot dinner last year, but I've not been invited back. In fact, my guess is that the kitchen is now run by the sisterhood instead of a more gender-balanced food committee. So there are places where men are not particularly welcome, but the places where women are kind of kept off to the side there far exceed that. I have my own kitchen to do what I want. Mother's Day came out very well. We're empty nesters, so I am the meal surrogate for our two children. I made a Hungarian fennel bread. Oh, it was wonderful. One of the best breads that I've made, even though I used a fraction of the yeast that the recipe called for. Then I made a salad, a very simple salad. Cucumber, red onions, and various seasonings. The meal included a soup. I do not make a lot of soups. I'm not a big soup fan. But for Mother's Day, I went all out, bought ingredients, and paid attention to the intricate steps to make a variant of corn chowder with split peas. I use green peas instead of the yellow peas because I had them. The challenging part of the soup was to make cashew cream. Ordinarily, I wouldn't. Ordinarily, that would exclude it from my planned menu. But for Passover, I had gotten raw cashews and didn't know what else to do with them. So I made cashew cream. The soup was good. The cashew cream and the blenderizing or pureeing of half of the corn chowder made it a somewhat milky, even murky appearance with a little bit of graininess, but it was still good, and I have ample left over. For the main course, I made Russian fish pie. I've been making this for a long time. The recipe calls for homemade rough puff pastry, but I had commercial pastry that had to be used up. I think my homemade pastry is better, though it doesn't puff nearly as much as this. The other ingredients I've made often enough to know how to sequence and assemble them. And for dessert, something I've tried to make once before with no success, but did it expertly for Mother's Day. My wife's favorite dessert is tiramisu. So that is what I made. Finding kosher certified lady fingers took an effort in itself. I went to the OU certification site, found what lady fingers they certified, and then went to the internet and looked for a store that sold that brand. I found one not that far away. It was tucked away in an obscure part of the off-the-shelf pastry aisle. I had to ask at a customer service desk, which sent me to the wrong place initially, but once I gave them the brand, they sent me to the right aisle. Yet finding this little nook with the package of ladyfingers was not easy to do. They turned out just right. I dunked them briefly in the coffee cocoa mixture, made the whip of mascarpone, whipped cream, and egg yolks and some sugar. It came out just right, leaving me enough to last for a while. Getting into organizational gender and kitchen, the synagogue may not want me, but my wife's choral group does. They have a reception after some of their concerts. My wife serves as president of the choral organization. At the meeting, they complained about the burden being put on the women who have to prepare all the food. They asked, why don't the men prepare the food? So my wife volunteered me. I'm happy to do it. I will be making cookies, special cookies. And then we get to Shavuot. Shavuot is traditionally dairy meals. The synagogue is having an event that, without belaboring it, I would rather stay home and prepare my own dinner. It would be nice to have guests. Maybe we can arrange that, maybe not. But this being the principal dairy meal of the year, I tend to try to make it a little bit creative. Appetizer soup, blintzes, apple walnut pie, which is something I like to make. That always comes out just right. A few other things along the way. Some people have fish. I try to make it just vegetarian. Lasagna makes a good centerpiece. Macaroni and cheese does not, because I have blintzes. There are all sorts of sweet kugels. Dairy meals invite the imagination. In fact, there are also dairy restaurants. My favorite being Ratner's, which closed about, I guess, 15 years ago on the Lower East Side of New York, but not before I was able to take my 7-year-old son to have lunch there. So I like making dairy meals. So that's my kitchen time. One of my pastimes, part relaxation, part challenge. I can count on using the first aid kit uh, at least once with Most Elegant Meals, though I did not with Mother's Day. Definitely worth upgrading that when I had a little bit of extra money. Thank you very much for sharing this session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind.